Good afternoon, everybody. On this hump day, June 25th, 2025, I got all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. And I'm telling you right now, buckle it the F up because we got a juicy one in the Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively world. If you thought it was over, it ain't, not for a country mile, as new life has been breathed into Baldoni's side after failing to amend his complaint against Blake Lively. It appears as though there may be some things lining up to a massive appeal. That is going to be interesting. We'll get into it. Stick around for that. Plus the Taylor Swift tax. Rhode Island is looking to institute a law to keep people like Taylor Swift from just dumping all their money into their vacation homes without paying a hefty tax. Then more on Love Island, as there is a possible herpes outbreak. Oh my gosh. Could this show get any more interesting? We'll get into that, plus Tesla's new RoboCops and Liver King arrested, I guess threatening to fight Joe Rogan. But I'm telling you right now, the big story is the Baldoni one, which we will get to in just a couple minutes. But let's dive into this Love Island story. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not here to shame anybody, but I did notice a cold sore on one of the contestants, and it's like, live your life, whatever. But they're all kissing each other. So could this be a problem for the Love Island show? Here we have Kelly Seitz on TikTok explaining.
I don't know if anyone else clocked this scene on Love Island, but I'm going to show it to you in a second. But the producers are basically letting us know that they're like, hey, we know there is a cold sore outbreak. We're on it. We're taking care of it. Don't worry. It's a scene where they're like getting ready and Sierra is basically talking about how she's not been able to make out. Here, watch this.
So she gets into all of the nitty gritty, which I'm not going to share. But Love Island, I mean, this is why The Bachelor can't compete, right? The Bachelor's never had a herpes outbreak. So if you're not watching the show, get on board. Well, Taylor Swift, I guess, is going to be out a couple of bucks. I think she can afford it, though, as a new proposed tax is hitting my home state of Rhode Island. The budget proposal hasn't been named after the pop star officially, but it is because of folks like her who are buying their vacation homes. And the proposal would increase the seller's tax by 63%. Rhode Island officials just shared their new budget proposal. The Taylor Swift tax would add cost to seasonal or second homes. Another measure would reportedly increase a seller's fee by 63%. Listen, I think this is a good idea, and I'll explain why. We have a housing crisis. So folks that own multiple homes, it's like, good for you. But the tax increase on that second home maybe could go towards people that are trying to get their foot in the door to buy a first home, all right? And I know what people say, oh no, what I do with my money is what I do with my money. It's like, sure, okay, but some people have been luckier than others, and housing should be a human right. It should be something that everyone's entitled to. And I don't just mean renting. Like, people should have the effort should be put in so that people can buy their first home. Just a thought, folks. You know what I mean? Old progressive Dave over here. All right, look, let's dive into it. Let's dive right into it. The absolute bombshell story that has broken this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case wide open. Credit where it's due to Without a Crystal Ball. She's teased this story for the last week, saying, I got a big one coming. And folks were saying, what are you talking about? She said, hold on, just wait, it's coming. Well, a sworn affidavit used to dismiss the case against Blake Lively, Leslie Sloan, and Ryan Reynolds to be withdrawn. What? Does that mean the dismissal is no longer going to go through? So yesterday, or I should say 2 days ago now, was the deadline for Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's attorney, to file an amended complaint in their defamation suit against Blake Lively. Now, the judge threw out the defamation, but there's all these other avenues they could have taken to continue to go after Blake Lively. They neglected to file that amended complaint, essentially dropping it and or any appeal. But here's what's interesting. Without a Crystal Ball says that she is finally reporting on a situation that has been brewing behind the scenes for weeks in the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni case. On June 6, 2025, Leslie Sloan filed an affidavit in court by Daily Mail reporter James Vituska. Sloan claimed the affidavit vindicated her because Vituska stated that Leslie never told him Baldoni assaulted or harassed Blake. He also stated that he regretted his text messages being used in the lawsuit and claimed he did not consent to their use. So when this happened, Brian Friedman got a lot of flack because folks were wondering, how did Justin Baldoni's side not corroborate what words were used to describe the event that took place? And there was a lot of confusion over this. Well, 3 days later, the judge dismissed the case and the affidavit was cited on 10 to 15 pages as proof for the claims against Sloan being baseless. Sloan used the affidavit to seek $1.3 million in attorney's fees from Justin Baldoni. According to multiple sources, the affidavit was not as it appeared. Soon after the affidavit was submitted to court, James Fatuska fired his in-house Daily Mail attorneys and hired Mark Garagos firm. Brian Friedman, who, by the way, is good friends with TMZ and Brian Friedman, they're all in the same little club there. Brian Friedman issued a subpoena to Fatuska for all documents related to the declaration and all documents related to Leslie Sloan in the film and a notice for a deposition after Leslie filed the affidavit. Tonight, multiple people confirmed that Fatuska is seeking to have his affidavit withdrawn from the court under the grounds that it was signed under duress, coercion, and threats by his employer, Daily Mail. The affidavit at issue was not approved by Fatuska, and under immense pressure, he was forced to sign an untruthful statement. Guys, this is absolutely insane, if it's true. This is as from the reporting of Without a Crystal Ball. I have no reason to doubt the legitimacy here. Leslie Sloan has cited this affidavit as proof of vindication, but her sources say the affidavit is fabricated and does not represent the truth of what occurred. New lawyers are working in collaboration with Wayfair Legal to have the affidavit withdrawn. The record corrected and other options are being pursued. It's unclear if the withdrawal of the affidavit will impact the order to dismiss the case. Sources were clear that the affidavit was signed under duress and threat. Daily Mail received help from Sloan by handing her the affidavit. Sloan dropped her subpoena against the media outlet. Apparently, Daily Mail hung their reporter out to dry, allegedly. Stay tuned. So this just came out. How true is it? Yet to be seen. All right, let's take a quick break. Coming back, I'm going to share what Brian Friedman had to say about what their game plan is next. Today's podcast is sponsored by Quince, and I am not big on trends. You know that about me, but I like clothes that feel good and last. That's why I keep going back to Quince. Their lightweight layers and high-quality staples have become my everyday essentials. Quince is all the things you actually want to wear this summer, like organic cotton silk polos, European linen beach shorts, and comfortable pants that work for everything from backyard hangs to nice dinners. The best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury pieces without the markups. Listen, you know my love for linen shirts. They have shirts for $29. They're normally $80 elsewhere. You can scoop all of them up. Breathable, lightweight. We got a heat wave out there. Don't get stuck with the heavy clothing. Stick to the staples that last with elevated essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/rushhour for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That is QUINCE.com/rushhour to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/rushhour. All right, this is absolutely insane. We have Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, speaking, plus Blake's lawyers responding. And boy, are they confident. So here's what Justin Baldoni's lawyer had to say. Now, they did plan on filing their amended complaint, but now Brian Friedman tells TMZ they are proceeding with discovery in the Lively case. They're confident they will be able to prove there was no harassment or any smear campaign, as Blake alleges. They're brushing off the fact that judge earlier this month threw out Baldoni's lawsuits against Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and the New York Times. Justin's attorneys say the court's decision on the motion to dismiss has no effect whatsoever on the truth. We are confident that we will prevail against these factually baseless accusations. Now, again, he's absolutely right that the claims that Blake Lively made were essentially untouchable because she did them in a protected complaint. A rep for Blake Lively tells TMZ the court dismissed the frivolous $400 million Baldoni Wayfair lawsuit in its entirety. In the days that followed, Baldoni's lawyers said the judge's decision to dismiss their case was not a big deal, as they promised to amend and refile it. As per usual, that was not true. The court's dismissal of Baldoni's sham lawsuit was a total victory after all. So my question is, what if the judge can take back his dismissal based on this affidavit issue that's going on? Again, absolutely fascinating stuff. So folks are talking about this on the subreddits. What does this mean? Someone said it means that the affidavit that Judge Lyman used to dismiss Wayfair's claims is withdrawn. Then Wayfair party has grounds for appealing the dismissal. And then folks are saying, well, he didn't hire this entire new team of lawyers, all of whom showed up on the docket just to not do anything. So this idea that Vituska is actually going to be withdrawing his affidavit, I mean, it sounds like absolute fiction. It's so crazy. And yet this is probably, I tend to believe this is accurate, because I just don't see a scenario where this is all made up. But again, we'll have to see if how good this reporting is. Again, I think it's pretty good. Now, here's the other juicy thing. I know, but wait, there's more. There's just not nonstop juiciness happening right here. Dear Judge Lehman. So this is the Van Zandt lawsuit. Now, you might remember the Van Zandt lawsuit is the defunct company Blake Lively used to subpoena Stephanie Jones to get the text messages that she then used to prove that there was some underground smear campaign against her. Well, now we're finally getting movement on this. This was written, I believe, by Brian Friedman's law firm, but not by Brian Friedman himself. I'll make a separate video reading this thing in its entirety, but Abel's claims against Jones' work and its principal, Stephanie Jones, center on the allegation that in August of 2024, just prior to Abel's scheduled departure from Jones' employees, Jones seized Abel's cell phone and accessed and downloaded the contents. In anticipation of litigation against Abel and other Wayfair parties, Jones collaborated with Blake Lively to contrive a mechanism for Lively to obtain the data that Jones had pirated from Abel's phone and cloud accounts, including confidential and privileged text messages, which are the centerpiece of this dispute. This was accomplished through a subpoena issued in a sham action, captioned Van Zandt vs. Doe. Abel is informed and believed that Van Zandt is a shell company owned or controlled by Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. The facts speak for themselves. The Van Zandt complaint asserted only a bare-bones breach of contract claim. So I'm going to read this entire thing in a separate video. Double check, make sure you're subscribed to get a hold of that. But guys, my mind is blown. Just yesterday, folks said, oh, it's over for Baldoni. And now you're seeing unbelievable things at play that could really show that this was and by the way, I don't believe the reporting is, I believe that Blake Lively didn't attend the deposition with Brian Friedman. So maybe a lot of these things were in motion and they wanted to depose her after. I don't know. But a lot of movement going on. Insane stuff. All right, I wanted to move over to a very interesting, very sad story actually. Social media influencer Liver King has been arrested in Austin. Somehow involves Joe Rogan. His name is Brian Johnson, known online as the social media influencer Liver King, faces one charge of terroristic threat, a Class B misdemeanor. Sources confirm with KXAN that Brian Johnson, listed in the jail log, is in fact a social media influencer. So I guess he was making threats that he wanted to fight Joe Rogan. In an Instagram video posted on June 23rd, he says, Joe Rogan, I'm calling you out. My name's Liver King. Man to man, I'm picking a fight with you. I have no training in jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt. You should dismantle me, but I'm picking a fight with you. Your rules, I'll come to you whenever you're ready. And he kept on posting these videos. And then an Instagram video posted later on Tuesday shows Liver King wearing a burgundy hoodie and pants, handcuffed, getting into a police vehicle. Now, this guy has gone completely off the deep end. I kind of feel bad for him, right? He made his career saying he eats nothing but raw meat, and then, of course, and then Joe Rogan, amongst others, called him out for being on steroids, and then he ended up getting busted for being on steroids, which, a guy at his age isn't just eating liver and, being jacked. There is alternative science being put into your body. But either way, he's looking terrible. And hopefully this arrest can lead to him getting the help that he needs.
Or tomorrow or the day after, because I'm here all week. I don't know if you heard. Rogan versus Liver King, period. COM. All week, this week. It started on Monday. It's going to go through at least Friday. It may go over the weekend, but no longer than that. I'm going to record a lot of videos.
And by the way, he wasn't lying there. He made a ton of videos looking absolutely terrible, says he hasn't slept in days, and then they have him getting arrested. I guess he got the upload.
Should we go?
And
okay, so what did they say?
They, listen, just take this with a grain of salt, but they assured me he's going to be in an hour.
So here we have Liver King handcuffed. What we saw was his wife being informed that he's going to get, I guess, charged with this crime and then let out. And then we also heard in this video some mention of Rogan's guys no longer being there. Now, Joe Rogan's kind of known for having really great security. And if I were Joe Rogan, I would want to call the cops on this guy too. He seems absolutely deranged. Folks are saying, I hope he gets the help he needs. But watch this.
Yeah. Ma'am, these items for you.
I wouldn't take that with me.
And the craziest part about this video as it spills out is that this is posted by Liver King himself. So I guess he wants people to see this process. And again, I mean, I don't know. Well, he'll get a fair trial and we'll have to see if he's guilty of these charges. Pretty wild stuff. All right, let's wrap up from one crazy story in Texas to another on RoboTaxis. This is Elon Musk's company, part of Tesla, and it is starting its initial launch here. And actually, Tesla, the stock boosted really high. But let's listen to what he plans to do with these robotic taxis.
After almost a decade of hype, Tesla has launched its own RoboTaxi service in Texas. A handful of driverless cars are now on the streets of Austin, but Elon Musk says the program will expand to 1,000 vehicles within months. It could be a critical test for the company, which has been struggling with poor sales and consumer backlash.
Listen, I don't know if they have the same science as my Tesla, but I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies the, driverless capabilities. They aren't quite there yet. Waymo, is one of those companies. They have the cameras that are like swirling around, all the different sensors that are fully autonomous. But Tesla runs its autonomous technology just using 6 cameras that are built into the car. And I've been in my car when it's on the autonomous mode and it phantom brakes. And look, it's good for cruise control, but full autonomous, I am not buying it. But here's what they're saying.
It was a limited number of rides in a strict area, and it was influencers in the back of the car. What are they going to say?
What I would like to see is someone who is not a huge Tesla bull get in one of these cars and give me a review.
This technology is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. This is perhaps going to work. But Waymo is light years ahead of them.
Waymo is in 8 cities, and they don't have geofencing. They're going slowly, smoothly along. They just lack the magnanimous leader that is Musk.
Musk is back on his main quest, they say, right? He's no longer part of the government. He's strictly supposedly devoted to Tesla and all his other companies. And that's probably a big part of the enthusiasm. They said they're going to launch it on the 22nd. They actually did it. It's happening. What about the general public? When are we going to be allowed to do that? That's a big question, I think.
As with anything that we've seen from Tesla, it always takes longer than Elon thinks. And
burn longer than Elon thinks. Listen, yeah, Waymo, and don't get me wrong, every once in a while, Waymo won't let you out of the car when you're going to the airport. But again, we'll have to see what folks say about this new autonomous taxi driver. And I got to tell you, as a former Uber driver, who has been guilty of wanting to chat with my riders, there's something so great about the idea of getting into a car with no one else in it, blasting your favorite music, and just sitting there for 20 minutes. I think I would take it to Starbucks by myself, right? Why not? All right, that's going to do it for us. Today's been a travel day, so been super busy as I've been on the train. Hey, I wanted to send a special shout out to Leslie, a good friend of our show. She comes to a lot of my live shows. Leslie found out I was going to be taking the train today, and she actually had my seats upgraded from coach to a business class for my wife, my baby, and myself. So, Leslie, too kind. Thank you. Can you guys believe this? How nice is my audience? Thank you guys so much for all the support. We'll be back in the morning. We'll see you then. And by the way, if you caught this video but not the other, hit the subscribe button. I will have more on the Vistuska, whatever the guy's name is, the other avenue of the Blake Lively story, the Van Zandt lawsuit and all of that. So we'll keep on talking about that in the next video. Hit subscribe for that. And if you want to join our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Dave Neal, and that's where you can get the new stand-up set that I did from the New York Comedy Club. So we'll talk to you in the morning. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.